This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yelich putting the Brewers offense on his back. The duo on the mound for the Brewers, shutting down the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Brewers are now winners of 5 straight games as they beat Philly 6-2 in game 1 of their 3-game set. A good one for your Milwaukee Brewers. Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Snide. Welcome into the Locked On Brewers postcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, covering all of our Wisconsin sports. As always, thank you for making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every day. And you're going to enjoy listening to this Milwaukee Brewers Locked On version of the postcast with a 6-2 win over the Phillies. The Brewers now 2 games over 500. Lots to get to on the show. The middle of the order for this Milwaukee Brewers team starting to heat up. DL Hall, Quinn Priester putting on a clinic on the mound, and we'll discuss it later. Is Murph Ball back in Milwaukee? Lots to get to. As always, your reaction, your thoughts, your comments, your questions are always welcomed on the program. Let's get right to the scoring summary tonight because there is a lot to talk about in a 6-2 Milwaukee Brewers win. The scoring summary brought to you tonight by FanDuel, and the Brewers wasted no time. How many times during this show have I said, and have we all said, we've all agreed, when the Brewers have a starting pitcher on the ropes early and they cash in, it is a completely different game. It allows their starting pitching, the Brewers starting pitching, that is, to settle into the game. It allows their bullpen to take over. It allows the Brewers to kind of play that Murph ball that we have talked about throughout the course of the season. And the Brewers did just that this evening. Contreras getting a fielder's choice. Terrain would score. Frelick would single to center. That gave the Brewers an early 2-0 lead. DL Hall would get the start for your Milwaukee Brewers tonight. He would go the first 3 innings, and he would give up a goose egg as far as runs and hits. Absolutely fantastic. That would bring us to the 4th inning. Quinn Priester would take over for the Brewers. Kyle Schwarber, who continues since his days in Chicago to be a thorn in the Brewers' side, he would double to center. That would score the Phillies. That would leave it at 2-1. Without further ado, with the score at 2-1 into that 5th inning, let's get into your turning point in the Brewers' 6-2 win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have talked about it. We have said, as Christian Yelich goes, so will this Milwaukee Brewers offense. If he's struggling, we have seen it. The Brewers have failed to score runs. Tonight, not the case. The last few games, really, for Christian Yelich, and a lot of you have thoughts on Christian Yelich. We'll get to all of them. Not the case. Homering opposite field for Christian Yelich to give the Brewers a 3-run shot there, a 5-1 lead. Nick Castellanos would also have a home run later in the 7th inning. That would give the Brewers a 5-2 lead going into the 9th inning. And we had mentioned Christian Yelich. He went Oppo Taco in the 5th. This one in the 9th, not the Oppo Taco, but an absolutely, once again, we saw it in a walk-off win a few days ago, a no-doubter to right field, 420 feet to be exact for Christian Yelich. As the Brewers get the 6-2 win, they finally put the bat on the ball consistently. And now look, 5 straight wins, 30-28 on the season. They're 12-18 now on the road. And we have talked about, ladies and gentlemen, this schedule, this part of the Brewers schedule was going to be a challenge. And it started a few games ago, and you swept the Boston Red Sox at American Family Field before hitting the road. And now you get a much needed. And again, I know I feel like I'm repeating myself, and some of you that are everydayers that tune in are be like, I feel like he said that. And I have. Every win from here on out is going to be a big win, especially at this point in the schedule. Lots of reaction pouring in as the Brewers beat the Phillies 6-2. We'll begin with Brian. Magic is coming back. It certainly feels like it. It certainly feels like this is the Brewers team we have been waiting on. We saw parts of it early in the season. You know, it's been inconsistent to say the least, But you're absolutely right. This is kind of the discussion that I wanted to bring up today is Murph ball. And we'll get into a little bit of that later on in the show. On the base paths, at the plate, defensively, and holy smokes, starting pitching once again dominant for the Milwaukee Brewers tonight against a really good Philadelphia Phillies team, the best team in the NL. Not tonight, as the Brewers get the 6-2 win. Of course, your reaction being poured in. Peter, really good team win tonight. Yelich with 2 bombs, really good pitching from Hall and Priester. Just an overall great performance by everybody tonight. Let's talk about DL Hall and Quinn Priester. Now, a lot of backlash occurred in the Quinn Priester trade, and probably rightfully so. Tonight, he goes 6 innings pitched. He has 4 hits and allows 2 earned runs, one of those being a solo shot. The other one you heard earlier, Kyle Schwarber with the double to left center, I believe it was. Over his last, I'm going to go back to his last, really the last month. You go back to Pittsburgh about a week ago, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Okay, go back to May 19th against Baltimore. Again, it's Baltimore, but you pitch who you pitch against. 5 1/3, 3 earned runs. Cleveland, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Houston, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Chicago is the dark spot on his last 6 starts or so, last 6 or 7 starts, where he allowed those 7 earned runs. But since early May, Quinn Priester has been a completely different pitcher. You kind of can see exactly what the Brewers were hoping they were getting in Quinn Priester. And tonight, 16 ground ball outs for Quinn Priester. He recorded 18 total of them, so 18 total outs for Quinn Priester, and 16 of them were ground balls. An absolute clinic, like without question, an absolute clinic. And let's not overshadow Quinn Priester with DL Hall. 3 innings pitched, no hits, no runs for DL Hall. I had been critical of Murph with the starter as far as Quinn Priester goes, and we go to that Chicago game back on May 2nd where Priester gave up 7. That was in that game. I believe Tyler Alexander started for him back in that game. Now we're going back almost a month ago. Completely different the last 6 or 7 starts for Quinn Priester, and he's starting to now settle in to hopefully what the Brewers have needed and really what they have wanted, more so needed than wanted. But this is exactly what they envisioned when they acquired a guy like Quinn Priester, who has the stuff. Again, 24 years old. He's a younger pitcher, has a lot to work with, and you can see him now kind of settling in with the Brewers pitching coaching staff, and hopefully going forward, this is what we get consistently from Quinn Priester. And again, a much-needed big-time win on the road against the best team in the National League, a 6-2 win for your Milwaukee Brewers, 30-28 on the season. Our everydayer drum. When Yelich is swinging the bat, the Brewers get wins. Listen, this isn't a pat me on the back or say I told you so, and I don't think I'm breaking any news, and I'm sure most of you will agree with me. This is how it's going to be for this Milwaukee Brewers team. Again, as Christian Yelich goes offensively is how the Brewers are going to go offensively. Are you going to get some games out of Jackson Chourio and William Contreras, who, by the way, it's not a coincidence that when Christian Yelich gets going, so do those 2 guys. It's not a coincidence, guys. It's not a coincidence. Jackson Chourio tonight, 2 for 5. He had a double in there. William Contreras, 3 hits tonight, 3 for 5 for him. Again, Christian Yelich takes so much pressure off of those 2 guys when he's producing in the way that he is. 3 for 5 for Christian Yelich tonight, 4 RBIs, a 3-run blast in the 5th, and a no-doubter solo shot in the 9th inning to kind of help the Brewers get a little bit of that insurance run. As DMH asking the hard question on YouTube there, Brandon, are we back? I think we're back. And I think there's, again, reasons to be back. And without further ado, let's get to one of those reasons I think we're back with your tonight's player of the game in the Brewers 6-2 win.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I think this one's going to surprise anyone. I don't think anybody's going to really have any issues with this. It was more difficult than I thought it was going to be, and I'll get to the reasons why. But tonight's player of the game, again, brought to you by FanDuel, Christian Yelich. I don't know how you go anywhere else. He's your turning point of the game with that 3-run home run in the 5th inning, kind of separated the Brewers, allowed some breathing room, allowed Quinn Priester to settle into the ball game. Christian Yelich, 3 for 5. He continues his hot streak. We had mentioned his numbers, I believe about 2 weeks ago, in the way that they were going. He has completely flipped his storyline so far, in the last, I would say, week or so for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And it's not a coincidence that you're now 5-0 in your last 5 games when his bat starts to warm up. Now, there are some honorable mentions tonight. And when the Brewers get a 6-2 win over a really, really good ball club who didn't have Bryce Harper, we should make note of that. Bryce Harper still coming back after being hit by a pitch in the elbow. Didn't have Bryce Harper, but nonetheless, DL Hall, Quinn Priester, William Contreras, those would be my honorable mentions. And I know I'm throwing a lot of names out there, and I just thought what DL Hall did tonight set the tone for this ball game. And obviously, the Brewers offense did their job in the first inning by scoring 2 early runs, allowing this pitching staff to kind of settle into the ball game. But DL Hall, 3 innings pitched, no hits, no runs. William Contreras, 3 hits on the night, 3 for 5. He had a fielder's choice RBI in the first inning. He was a part of that scoring early on for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And like we've said, in the middle of that lineup, it's not a coincidence that when Yelich is doing well, all of a sudden Jackson Chourio starts looking a little bit more confident at the plate. When Christian Yelich is hitting in front of William Contreras or before in front of Christian Yelich, it's not a coincidence that his numbers tend to increase as we go on. And again, I don't think this is, sustainable. I think every game Christian Yelich is going to go 3 for 5. Of course not. He's going to have moments and spots throughout the course of the season, but that's when other guys have to step up. And I think we will, because I think the pressure, once you crawl yourself out of this hole that you dug yourself, and the Brewers have done a fantastic job of doing so. Again, now 5-0 in their last 5 games, 5-game win streak. I think the pressure and I think the fun and I think the looseness will start to come back for this Milwaukee Brewers team. It seems like when they struggled early on in the year, they just weren't having fun. We talked about it, guys doing something good on the field and just not seem to be enjoying themselves like we saw a year ago and a year prior to that. It felt like the life was, the air was sucked out of, the room, during the early parts of the season when they had struggled. And so far now, obviously winning ails everything, but this is kind of what we've come to expect for this Milwaukee Brewers team. Now, just 2 games over 500. Now, the good news, you're not satisfied being 2 games over 500 if you're a Milwaukee Brewers fan, and certainly nobody in that Brewers clubhouse is, including Pat Murphy. However, the Cubs do lose tonight. On the other side, they lost to the Reds, so you're also, neck and neck within the division, and obviously the Cardinals keep winning. So the Brewers, again, control what you can control. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but that's what they can do right now. And I wouldn't even look past anything beyond the next few weeks of this season, if really beyond the next day. But when your toughest part of your schedule begins and you started off with winning 5 in a row and really playing a game tonight with a 6-2 win that resembles the team that won 90 plus games a year ago, including the division wire to wire, you tend to feel good about those wins more than just, your typical walk-off home runs, although you'll take those either way. But again, good win for your Milwaukee Brewers, a 6-2 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. I mentioned some things about Murph ball and getting back to what this team does best. Lots of your thoughts still getting poured in over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll get to all of it coming up right after this. Tonight's Locked On Brewers postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are starting to heat up. The Pacers going back to Indiana if they lose Game 5 to the Knicks. Every night delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and this is where FanDuel makes it easy for you to stay in the game. Before tip-off and during the game, player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. You fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. New to FanDuel, today is the perfect time to sign up. They have quite the deal for you guys. Head to FanDuel.com, and if you place your first $5 bet, and if that first $5 bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. I don't know. Might be a good time to bet on the Brewers. Might be a good time to bet on the Knicks. We'll see what happens in the NBA playoffs. OKC is on their way to the NBA Finals, and the Brewers are certainly heating up. They'll look for win number 6 tomorrow. Might be a good time to put $5 on your Milwaukee Brewers. And again, if you're new to FanDuel and you place that first $5 bet, if that bet wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that is FanDuel.com. Your Milwaukee Brewers getting a big-time 6-2 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. DL Hall locking it down early. Quinn Priester, 6 innings pitched. What Quinn Priester did in the last 6 innings of this game for this bullpen that has been decimated, not only innings, but, up and down with injuries, especially also in the starting rotation, is absolutely huge. And you mix it in with the day off prior, or the Thursday prior, and now you're giving guys like Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill, who we have seen time and time again, be able to kind of have multiple days off in a row. That is going to be huge, especially in the next few games against the Phillies in the city of brotherly love. Lots of reactions still over on YouTube. We'll get to it. Our everydayer Nick still working tonight, but wanted to take a second and say great show as always, Brandon, and thank you, Go Crew, and keep turning up the heat. Nick, thank you. Absolutely appreciate you tuning in. And yeah, this is exactly what the Milwaukee Brewers need to do. This is exactly what we had talked about over the course of so many shows after a game, and where this Brewers team, who they were and what they have become, wasn't what we were used to. It wasn't something we were expecting. And that kind of brings me to my next point is, are the Brewers back? I think they are, but in the way that they're back might even be more entertaining and even more encouraging.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Hall shutting it down early in the game. Quinn Priester shutting the last 6 innings down. 16 ground ball outs for Quinn Priester tonight. We mentioned that he had 18 total outs. That's the most since Willie Peralta did it in 2014. So over a decade ago. We know the Brewers coming into this season, pitching was going to be something they were going to lean on. Knew offensively they had to play situational baseball. Now, does it help when you hit a 3-run blast in the middle of the game? Certainly. However, 5 stolen bases tonight for your Milwaukee Brewers on the base pass against one of the, if not the best catcher. I still think it's William Contreras, but JT Realmuto is really good at what he does as well. And the Brewers were able to kind of put pressure on opposing pitching, on that opposing defense. And look what happens. You force, early runs in a ball game. You grow a little bit of a lead. You allow your pitchers to do the damage. You have a situational moment in the game with Christian Yelich going opposite field for a 3-run blast. You're up 5-1. And when you have the pitching staff and the bullpen that this team has had and has built, not only through drafting and trades and whatnot, this is how you win ball games. And this is what we talk about when we mention Murph ball. Playing good defense, a diving catch, a sliding diving catch from Jackson Chourio out there in center field. 16 ground ball outs, defense going to work. The offense putting pressure on opposing pitchers, scoring when runs are presented them. Again, we had mentioned how bad this team had been even during some of these wins with runners in scoring position. Tonight, you're capitalizing on those moments, and this is exactly how the Brewers have to win. They're not going to come out, and I know 2 home runs tonight, but both of them are by the same player. They're not going to have 2, 3, 4 home runs a night. It's just not how they're built right now. It's not impossible. Obviously, when you have Jackson Chourio and William Contreras and Christian Yelich, that those games are going to happen, but few and far in between where that's going to be the case. And this is how the Brewers have to win. Play small ball early, scoring on fielder's choice, advancing runners, moving on the base pass. And that's what you get when you win against the best team in the National League tonight in a 6-2 win. Now 30-28 on the season. Drum, I got a Yelich jersey with pinstripes. Every time I wear it, the Brewers lose. Drum, you're going to have to take that jersey and toss it. The listeners here on the Locked On Brewers postcast will get you a new one, I promise. Don't wear it if the Brewers are losing with the pinstripes as they win tonight 6-2 over the Philadelphia Phillies in game 1 of their 3-game series. Going all the way back now, let's see, when did the Brewers last lose a game? It was against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we're almost about a week ago. I think it was exactly a week ago that the Brewers had lost. Last Saturday or last Friday. So for the Milwaukee Brewers going forward, and I don't want to look too far ahead, obviously when you won 6-2 and you beat a really good Philly team, Chad Patrick on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers. He has been one of, if not my favorite players to keep an eye on throughout the early part of this season. I hope that continues tomorrow as they go for win number 6 in a row. And it's just so much more fun, guys, when we can do Locked On Brewers postcast shows, and this team wins. And it's not only the way that obviously winning on the scoreboard, but it's the manner in which they are winning. And I think that is something to talk about. That is Brewers baseball. That's what we've grown accustomed to. And again, we're not going to, be the top guy, top team, payroll in the National League, or really certainly any league for that matter. We're not going to have 4, 5, 6 home runs and 3 or 4 guys hitting 25 plus home runs. We win on how we saw it tonight. Timely hitting with runners in scoring position, really good defense, and absolutely outstanding starting pitching and relief pitching. I guess Quinn Priester with DL Hall starting the first 3 innings of this game. My tip of the cap to manager Pat Murphy, DL Hall, Quinn Priester, and obviously Christian Yelich, who got our FanDuel player of the game, as the Brewers win their 5th game in a row, 6-2, 2 games over 500. It wasn't too long ago we were talking about the Brewers being 3 games under 500. They have certainly turned around their overall record and the mood amongst Brewers fans, including myself. We'll do it again tomorrow. My thanks to each and every one of you for always tuning in, and thank you for always making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every day. Remember, you can follow the show wherever you get podcasts. You can also follow us right here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon_Snide and hear all of our stuff, again, wherever you get podcasts. Win, lose, or draw, it's always go Brewers. Tonight's a good one as the Brewers win 6-2 over the Phillies. We'll do it again tomorrow. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.